In 2013, Sana introduced the Sana 707 juicer, and it quickly became our most popular model. 10 years later, it's still our most popular model. Why in the world is that? Hi, it's Dan with EUJUICERS.COM, and in this video, I'm going to take a closer look, kind of a 10th anniversary look back at the Sana 707. We'll see what the juicer market was like back in 2013, how things have changed in the juicing market as well as with juicers themselves. How was the Sana 707 when it came out compared to how it is now? What changes have been made? And then personally, why do I think it remains our most popular model? I deal with customers. I handle customer feedback, customer service. If you write EUJUICERS, you're talking to me. So I hear a lot about our different juicers, especially the Sana 707. Plus, I have my own experience. In 2015, 2 years after it came out, I bought a Sana 707. My wife and I bought one before I even came to work for EUJUICERS. In fact, this morning when I was coming to the studio, I decided to go into my wife's workshop and grab it. It's this guy right here. This is an 8-year-old 707 that still gets used almost every day. Not for juicing so much, but for other things that I'll talk about later. So let's get started. So when Sana introduced the 707 in 2013, it was kind of a revelation, almost a revolutionary model. That's because up to that time, there were just a few horizontal juicers on the market here in Europe. And these were all kind of boxy designed, functional design, really not any thought given to how the juicer looks, how it fits into the kitchen. This is the first slow horizontal juicer designed in Europe. It's manufactured in South Korea, but it was designed with European sensibilities in mind. Think about European cars versus American cars, and you know what I'm talking about. As you can see, it's round, it's got a real iconic shape, there's no hard edges to it, and I think that's one reason it became really popular. But besides the looks of it, there were functional differences as well that it brought to the table. Now, at that time, most juicers just came with a juicing screen because it was a juicer. Some of them did come with what's called a blank screen or a homogenizing screen. I've got one right here. And the Sana 707 came with one of those. It wasn't the first, but it was one of the first ones. And this is just a screen that allows you to turn it into a slow speed processor, basically. You can use it for grinding, making things like nut butter, nut milk, grinding coffee. My wife uses it a lot to grind herbs, dried leaves, dried roots, things like that for her herbal business. It just gives it a lot more flexibility, sorbets, all sorts of things like that. But Sana was the first to introduce this. This is the coarse screen. The coarse screen is a juicing screen, but it has bigger holes than the standard fine juicing screen. That's because horizontal juicers were known for being really good at hard root vegetables, more firmer produce, leafy greens, things like that. Whereas vertical juicers were the ones that people tended to go for softer things like pineapple, berries, things like that. So Sana designed this screen with bigger holes to allow it to be able to juice these softer things that normally might plug up that fine juicing screen. These bigger holes have a higher flow rate, less pressure. It means maybe a little less yield, but it means less backup as well, and it just increases the versatility of the juicer. Another thing the 707 included that goes with that homogenizing screen are these. These are the pasta and sorbet nozzles. This lets you attach these to the end of the drum cap here, and you can make pasta. I made a video, I can put a link in the comments below, showing the 707 making some green spinach pasta. It was really tasty. But this has 3 different kinds of pasta nozzles for different shapes, as well as this round nozzle that I use sometimes when I make cashew butter. It also is handy for making sorbet. Also, a big change with the 707 was these containers. Up to this time, all juicer containers had typically been almost afterthoughts. Small, plastic, usually square-shaped, kind of awkward looking, and with capacities like 400, 500 milliliters, so they'd fill up fast. You'd have to empty the pulp container quickly. Sana came to the market with this big stainless steel pulp container, which means you don't have to empty it so much. And for the people that save their pulp for things like biscuits, cakes, muffins, that's a hygienic way to store it. And also this really big tempered glass juice pitcher. It's over a liter capacity, has this stainless steel mesh screen above it. And we found people really liked that convenience, also the ability to put both of those pieces in the dishwasher to clean it. And unlike those plastic containers that'll yellow over time, these still look good. You know, years later, mine at home still look really good. Otherwise, something it brought to the market was a really big warranty, something you wouldn't see so often back then. This has a 5-year warranty on the parts, 10 years on the motor. In fact, my machine here is still under warranty for the motor. Still will be for a couple more years. Not that I've ever had any problem with it because the build quality is so good. It's got a really high torque motor. It's 200 horsepower, 200 watts. But watts really doesn't matter so much as the torque. This has super high torque. That's that twisting force. Like when you're going up a hill in a car, you've got to put in first gear. It gives it the power to crush things, to really process things efficiently. It's just well built, and it's designed to survive, as we can see here. So that's kind of a look at where it was in 2013, but also Sauna made a few changes over the years. Since its introduction in 2013, there's been some little differences made here and there with this juicer, keeping it again at the top of the sales charts for us. The first one, a few years after it was introduced, was the addition of more colors. It originally came out in red, white, and chrome, like the one we purchased here. And since then, about 7 more colors have been added, some metallic colors, pastels like this pastel green here, and one of the most popular new colors is the matte black, which we sell a whole lot of. Again, keeping that whole idea of juicer as a functional piece of equipment, but as a beautiful piece of equipment that fits into a kitchen, especially here in Europe. Another change, something that was added a few years after that was this guy here. This is the Sauna oil extractor. How this works is you just pop off this juicing head and you attach this to it, and it allows you to make fresh cold pressed oil from a variety of things like seeds. Hemp seeds, poppy seeds, sunflower seeds, flax seeds are pretty popular. You can also put in really finely chopped nuts and get things like walnut oil from there. Even coconut oil with dried coconut, and it actually makes oatmeal flakes as well. This again is something we have at home, and it's something my wife uses in her herbal business to make small quantities of medicinal oils. And one last thing that was added is this. This is what I talked about earlier. This is a celery insert. This fits inside the cap. This isn't a high pressure solution like some juicers have out there. I would call it a medium pressure solution. So it doesn't put too much strain on the juicer, but instead lets you have enough pressure to squeeze that celery as much as you can. Gets about 10 to 15% more celery per stalk. And I've actually tried it with some other things like carrots. Yeah, you have to feed things slower then, but you still can get a higher yield. Not as much as with celery, but maybe 5 to 10% more I've gotten out of carrots and apples, things like that. Finally, something pretty new we have is this recipe book that Sauna produced. I think it came out a couple of years ago. It's kind of a universal recipe book. It's nice. It's hardbound for all their horizontal juicer models. Not only is it filled with recipes, but they also have specific tips for the juicers, how to clean them, how to assemble and take care of them, what combinations of fruits and vegetables are best for certain medical conditions, things like that. The one thing I wanted to mention with this celery insert, this is an optional attachment for existing juicers, but moving forward, Sauna says they're coming out with what's called the Sauna 707C. And the only difference in the 707C versus the standard is the C comes with this included. So probably if you're watching this video more than a year or so from now, that's all that's on the market. But just so you know, if you have a model like I do that was purchased previously, it's something that's really cheap, easy to pick up. So 10 years later, why is this still our top seller? Well, based on my experiences talking to customers, based on my own experiences, here's what I think. First of all, the design still looks good. All those colors, the way it's kind of compact but still powerful, fits in different kitchens. The versatility of it with that blank screen. People seem to like using that a lot for nut butters, things like that. We use it at home for salsa, actually. in the summer when we have ripe tomatoes in the garden. The accessories, people like that as well. Always like stainless steel and glass over something smaller and plastic. I think the reputation of the juicer itself, the build reputation, the customer service reputation. You know, one thing, there's some juicers on the market that use a direct distributor method, direct distribution, where basically they're all imported to one point of Europe and then shot throughout Europe without localized service centers. I know Sana requires all retailers, all partners they have in different countries to have their own service center to keep stock and spare parts or accessories if people need them, and to have a staff that will stand behind the product and can fix it if need be, which again is pretty rare. And again, that's unlike these distributors, which typically don't have localized service centers. So that's one advantage. And I actually talked to the owner of Sana recently about the future of the model. And there's no plans to discontinue or change production because, again, it remains throughout the world, now that it's in US especially, a super popular model. And we expect spare parts to be available for at least 10 more years, probably longer, which I'm glad for as an owner. What about my own experiences? You know, when we were looking for a juicer, again, this was a couple of years before I started working at EUJUICER, I just wanted something versatile like a horizontal, but also functional, that'll make juice. They were all kind of the same function, but my wife was really into the design aspect, and that's probably why we chose it. She liked the looks of it. She liked the way she could leave it out, which now sits in her herbal workshop every day because it gets so much use. I liked these accessories as well. The stainless steel and the glass, I thought, just added a premium feel to it. And really for her, that blank screen, that homogenizing screen gave it so much versatility. She uses it so much for crushing things and grinding things like that. I think it's just, it's well built. It's built like a tank. It's almost indestructible. Yeah, we've had one issue in the last 10 years. That was my fault. One time I was juicing some carrots. I didn't have the pusher nearby. Don't ever do this, what I did. So we've had some customers who do it as well. I found a knife nearby. I was too lazy to go look for the pusher. I used the knife to push in the carrot, and the auger grabbed onto the knife, snapped a piece off. Like I said, it's a pretty strong high torque motor. That piece of knife went right through the juicer, sliced through the screen, cut the screen. So I had to replace the screen. Otherwise, it's been working fine. So finally, one reason that we picked this type of juicer, horizontal, was because the easy cleaning. Horizontal juicers have a real small metal surface area to clean. I can typically clean the juicer in under 2 minutes. That's one reason we chose horizontal over a vertical. In fact, I can show you here my 8-year-old juicer. I have the blank screen in there, the homogenizing screen. That's because my wife, like I said, mainly uses it for crushing and grinding and processing things. You could see the screen better in the actual juicing screen, but let's take a look anyway. You can see the condition of it. These are pretty solidly built. Maybe you can take a look and see the metal inside there, the stainless steel. The drum cap, it's a drum cap, it's still hanging in there. Probably the area you'll see the most wear is on the auger here, because this has been grinding things. It's been juicing, but it's been grinding things that maybe it shouldn't be. Sometimes my wife gets some little stones in there, little pebbles fall in because she's pulling out roots and stuff. So it's a little worn down on the end, but it's still working fine, like I said. And then maybe you could see here on the drum, it is BPA-free plastic, but it's, there's some scratches there, maybe slight fading of the color, but I'd say overall it's held up pretty well. You can also listen to the motor. Let's see how that sounds. Compare it to the new one. Yeah, it sounds a bit different because this is on. Let's do a better comparison. My old one, new one, pretty similar. So enough talking about these juicers. Let's actually put them in use. I'll do a lot of different juices and processing functions as well, so we can really see how this works.